For centuries, a shadow has been cast over a pivotal era in Greek history, mislabeled by older scholars as a Dark Age, from 1100 to 700 BCE, the period following the Bronze Age collapse. Archaeological remnants across the region were notably scarce. We found no monumental constructions, no grand palaces, and no distinct, widely used writing systems like the preceding Mycenaean Linear B or the later Classical Greek alphabet. It was an emptiness in the record, a void that led to a convenient, yet perhaps deeply misleading, conclusion. Was this truly an age of darkness, or a profound reinvention, its true story obscured by the very absence of record? The official narrative painted a picture of decline, a regression. But the more we look, the more that narrative begins to fray. What was once called a Dark Age was, in fact, the Geometric Age, a crucible of profound transformation. It began directly with the ashes of a collapsed world, where the complex Linear B writing system vanished entirely. Yet, from this very void, something remarkable emerged: the first wave of colonization, a grand, eastward migration of Greeks. Not retreating, but expanding, they ventured across the Aegean, settling nascent, vital cities in Asia Minor and Cyprus. Names like Miletos, Smyrna, and Ephesos were established, securing a Hellenic cultural imprint in Anatolia that would endure for millennia, right up until 1923 CE. This wasn't a people lost in the dark, it was a civilization redefining its very borders. While the mainland seemed to be in transition, Cyprus, in particular, became a vibrant hub of economic productivity. Thriving on extensive trade with the Near East and distant Sardinia, its burgeoning city kingdoms demonstrated a fascinating capacity for adaptation, even adopting a merged Levantine and Greek king ideology. On the mainland, the very structure of power was shifting. The centralized Mycenaean palatial control had crumbled, yes, but this wasn't mere collapse. It gave rise to a new, more diffuse political landscape defined by independent merchants and smaller, localized authorities. This fragmentation, far from being a sign of weakness, was quietly laying the groundwork for the independent city-states that would define classical Greece. The notion of a cultural void is also challenged by a revolutionary new tool that emerged from this era: the Greek alphabet. While the intricate Linear B was lost, a simpler system, likely adopted from the Phoenicians by the end of the 8th century BCE, took its place. This wasn't just a new script, it was a fundamental shift, making literacy accessible to a wider populace and dramatically facilitating the spread of ideas. Simultaneously, in northern Greece, settlement growth during this period wasn't a retreat, as some historical accounts might suggest. Instead, it was a vital precursor, quietly presaging the emergence of the Proto-Macedonian kingdom by the Archaic Age. The pieces were falling into place, hidden in plain sight. Even public religion evolved, moving beyond the private hearth. By the 900s BCE, distinct shrines to gods and proto-heroes began to appear, perhaps reflecting the oral traditions that would eventually coalesce into the epic narratives we know today as the Iliad and Odyssey. By 800 BCE, the Geometric Age was not ending in obscurity, it was fluidly transitioning into something far grander. Increased settlement density and burgeoning industry fostered ever more complex economies. Village communities, once isolated, began to coalesce into early city-states. Mediterranean expansion continued, alongside the formal formation of the Proto-Macedonian kingdom. Even the very pottery, once defined by its distinctive meander designs, evolved into the iconic black and red wares characteristic of archaic Greece, signaling not an end, but a vibrant new beginning. The Geometric Age, concluding around 700 BCE, was not a dark age, but a dynamic era of reinvention that forged the deep, enduring foundations of classical Greece. The question isn't whether this happened. The question is why no one said it sooner.